that you somehow know when you're born, or as you're conceived. The reason I know this is I had to take a client 2 days ago to that exact moment of her life, because when she was conceived, she felt too small. She didn't know about this part of her. So I explained this part, and we went back there, and she shifted, feeling too small, and she changed tremendously. She had to go home to take care of her daughter, who she found out had cancer. And she didn't know how she was going to do it, but when she shifted that, I told her, your daughter is going to begin to heal already, because she, in her shifting, her daughter got the message. We're going to talk about how in the quantum world, it's even stronger than just a relationship. It's identical. It's at the same moment, at the same time, and to me, that's the miracle. It is a miracle. It's always a miracle. Any questions about this slide which you don't understand? Good. Okay, so what does emergent mean? Because that's a concept I didn't know about. Here's Mr. Emergent. He took some tanks of hydrogen gas. This is what the sun is made of, hydrogen. If you light a match, what does hydrogen do?
Explode.
Exactly. It burns and it explodes. The sun is always burning. He took a little of the hydrogen, and he took a little bit of the oxygen, and of course in the universe, nobody did it. They just came together, they bumped, and of course oxygen, if you put a match to oxygen, what happens?
It explodes.
It explodes. It's flammable. So he took these two flammable gases, put them together, and what do you get? Water. Now, if I light a match to water, what happens? Nothing. Water doesn't burn, and the water itself flows. Oh, from my thank you. Okay. So water does not resemble the parents, the hydrogen and the oxygen, at all. And the water replaces these two. These two no longer exist. This one replaces it. So water has more new and different properties, very different than the two gases. Now, that's what you're like. Not this way, but your life is emergent, meaning every single moment you're different. You really don't resemble the last moment. But what keeps us looking the same way? Believe it or not, the answer to that is your language. Our language contains the old belief patterns. Our language is not quantum. So, we have to learn to talk differently. We can actually describe things. Very creative people like Robin write songs about it, write poetry. William, who's one of our presenters here, he dances with it. And all of you have your own ways of communicating your quantum, resplendent, illuminated selves, because words alone won't do it, right? Because they're not quantum. They do not tell you that you're different every single moment. You have a past, you have a future. They don't exist, really, right? I mean, that's what science is finally finding out. At least quantum science has concluded this. So that's the definition of emergent, that basically you're new and different every single moment. Okay, so now this quantum, by the way, if you feel like yawning, please yawn big, because when you shift, as you know from Qigong, you yawn, you burp, you cough, all kinds of biological processes, and we consider that excellent. So I really love it when you yawn, and don't hold it back. In fact, I call it a yawn orgasm for Mantak Chia's sake, because he turned me on to the value of the orgasm in life. And so all of these shifts that we do are like orgasms, and they're delightful. We're going to do at least one today, and then I'll teach you how to use a little method to shift, and then later, of course, when you're quantum, you can shift every moment as you wish. So with this quantum brain, which is, again, the universe, this memory of us, which is recorded every moment as we do what we do, this memory is really our quantum brain. So it's connected, yes, but it's something beyond even the word connected. It's entanglement, it's emergent, and it's eternal. And we're going to go ahead and keep talking about that. In Russia, they've done research now where they've shown that DNA actually has a tone, it has a song to it. So if they record the song of a DNA of a salamander and then play it for a frog embryo, the frog embryo becomes a salamander. So it's beyond the genes, way beyond the genes. And that's how we can begin to understand that our DNA somehow gives us access to this other world of this dimension of being, the universe, that we kind of overlooked for a few thousand years. Maybe you've called somebody because you were thinking of them, and when they picked up the phone, they said, I was just thinking of you. Anybody have experiences like that? I mean, William and I did it this morning. It was beautiful. An example of quantum thinking. You can also have this entanglement, it's called in physics, with your body through your DNA also. Let's say you have a swollen knee that hurts, especially in his case, it's his right knee. Then his swollen knee is telling him that he is emotional, because water and swelling are your emotions. And the knee is what moves him forward, right? You walk with your knees. So he was emotional about moving forward in his life. And because it's on the right side, it means you're giving inside. It means that he's emotional about what he gives in life. So all he has to do is a little shifting about all that, and I've done it before, it goes away. It's amazing. Change the information, you change everything. The body, the relationships, the dreams. That's how I'm here. It's because I started living this. And my dream was to share this with the world. And what better place than Tao Garden? Really. I mean, I couldn't have imagined a place this good. So the universe gives you surprises when you live this. You don't have to cause it. And that's what Robin knows about. So Einstein called this phenomena, I think I can sit down here in this one, spooky action at a distance. It blew his mind. He couldn't understand it because he would take an electron over here, and as Robin told us, if they took an electron from the same atom, put it on the other side of the world, if they moved this one moved at the same time, but in a mirrored way. So Einstein said, it's spooky. It's not possible. Why? Because it's living beyond cause and effect. There's no cause and effect. There's nobody doing anything. There's nobody causing the other one to move. They just move. And that's the beauty of quantum living. As you wish, as you live, the universe gives you exactly what you do in your life. Not what you wish for, but what you do. Good, she got it. But Einstein is also quoted as saying, there's only two ways to live, as though nothing is a miracle, or as though everything is everything's a miracle. So he did get it, but he didn't know how to live the miracle because he couldn't help his wife, he couldn't help his mother as they died, and himself. We can really help ourselves and change ourselves just as I did without trying too hard. If we know our quantum triune reality and live that until we create our universe. It's that simple. Well, it took me 15 years to put this together. But so here's how most of us, including me, usually live. These are what I call the bridge of the 8 bottom line mirror calls of resplendence. We do the ABCs, accusing, blaming, complaining. We do lying, hiding, denying. Denying is the one that creates your unconscious that we've been living with. We've been creating it for 2,000 years. It doesn't have to exist. I get rid of them in the first half hour of the session. You just embrace that you've been denying yourself and others, and you shift it to, I know everything about me, and your unconscious is gone. And then, of course, you start shifting all the stuff that you've been hiding in there, but that's not that hard. It really isn't. Not as hard as I made it, as an Italian. Okay, and the last two were defending and justifying. Once you shift those, then you can really begin having fun. The universe then begins to record the memory of all of your doings, not your words as much. It has to be put into action because the universe doesn't perceive a word. It only perceives movement. So when you put it into action, that's when it happens. That's when the miracle begins to happen. So here's the summary of the 3 E's. The eternal, which is the pattern. Can you read? Can you? Yeah. Point. The eternal, which is the pattern that we're going to look at in a couple of days of you. The recurring doings in your life. The particle wave area marking a pattern. Living this with as yourself, beginning to act that, then you begin to have entanglement as that process of accessing your deepest desires beyond the cause and effect. And then life begins to be emergent. New and different things begin to happen, and they replace the old you, and your life expands. And it's amazing. So you put the 3 E's together with the zestful, embodied you, and you get the word easy. So this kind of living, this resplendent means glorious and bright. It's not that hard, really. It's quite easy. How many here know what a stem cell is? How many don't know what a stem cell is? Good. Okay, let's talk about it. Stem cells are an example of this. Stem cells are cells that can develop into any kind of tissue. This particular stem cell, which I liked because you see this little embryo here, 2 eyes, a little bit like a snowman. He's got little snowman buttons and 2 little feet over here. I just thought it was cute. Anyway, he is taken from the umbilical cord blood, all these cells, and they can give rise to all the body's blood cells. They can go into red blood cells, white blood cells, very many types, and give you your immune system. So when you purify these from the umbilical cord blood, scientists are doing research to use these and inject them into people to help them with AIDS and leukemia. Because the cell can then restore the immune system, just like that. And they're getting great results with this research. Now, this sounds wonderful, but guess what? It's still the old way. It's still cause and effect, right? Okay, now, the quantum wave, in the quantum way of living, you are a stem cell. If you actually begin to strip away the old patterns, the old pathways that you grew up believing from mom and dad and all the different, societal conditionings. And you can do it, it's not hard, especially if you live your eternal self. Then you become a stem cell. And then your stem cell will not deny you any possibility in your life. So that's all you have to do in order to live your dreams. If you live your stem self, you have what you never ever experienced before. Like, this is a first for me. I've never given this talk before, and I'm really excited now. I was so excited last night I could hardly sleep. But, I'm just so appreciative and grateful that I can present this, that I'm actually quite relaxed in the moment. So I've never experienced being this relaxed, talking to a group of people. So this is what I would call an emergent moment. You have access to your questions of the whole universe. You may get it in a dream, you may get it in a symptom, you may get it in a phone call, a letter, a painting. Any way you wish, you can get your answers. And lastly, you are emergent. You are new and different, replacing the old you. So conditions will change in your body. You'll even look different. You begin to look actually a little younger, because all the old belief patterns that we have to get old go away. Because we don't. Not the way we used to believe it. Any questions about this slide or what I've said? Yes?
Could you talk about what happened when you did heal from your liver cancer? I mean, what I'm seeing is you and the others that I've met who've been through that, close to death, in fact, are the ones that are almost coming back and saying how to live our lives. In other words, we need to go, there's some reason why you've been you've gone through this experience to teach this.
Yes, the reason is that if I didn't, I wouldn't have discovered my eternal self and how to help others apply it.
And you wouldn't be teaching others to do it.
No, and I wouldn't be doing it myself. I'd be gone. I'd be a whisper, I'd be a memory in the universe, which is real, but it's not Angela. It's not the way Angela does it. Because when you put Angela together with her eternal self, it never looks the same as anybody else's. Never. And that's why, as far as I'm concerned, living, as again Robin said, living is really where it's at. And it's a whole new way of living that it's up to us to begin to live. And so we can begin to look like the best days in Star Trek, not the ones where they're fighting wars, because the truth is, if we really live this, wars will be one of those things we should do. All that, there's no more duality, there's no more good and bad. There's two-ness. There's no good and wrongness, or, good and badness. It's gone. And those are some of the beliefs that most of us are struggling with right now. In fact, I didn't break my shoulder was a big love letter to myself. And that's why I'm up here right now. If I hadn't done this, I probably wouldn't have convinced everybody to let this conference continue. Because they were going to call it up because it was a little bit small for their finances. But I said, no, this is our seed, as Robin said. We need to go ahead because this is a very important seed. We are saying something in this today and with this conference that I don't believe except for the ancient Taoists. And when they spoke of it, as I'll show you later, the words, I didn't understand them. Now I understand them. Great, I can do it. I can really live this now. I'm really excited. Okay, so we're going to take a step back to where I was when I had that liver cancer. cancer and started shifting these beliefs and actions and thoughts. So I